The finding and development of my cooking voice has been the thing that has helped me most mature as a chef and connect with my guests. I'm Jamie Lynch, chef partner at Fifth Street Group. I'm the executive chef, culinary force, Top Chef alum, but most of all, I'm a cook. Well, I kind of stumbled into food. I mean, I think, at a young age, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, what I would be good at. I started working in restaurant kitchens when I was 16. It was my first job. And I really fell in love with kind of the high octane, high energy chaos of the kitchen. That really appealed to kind of my sensibilities. And through that experience, I kind of started to learn more and more about cooking. And as I learned more about cooking, I moved into some other restaurants. I found myself working under some young chefs that kind of took me under their wing and started showing me some technique and things like that, where my cooking went from like basically dropping a basket of fries to understanding a process behind transforming, a raw ingredient, something that's inedible, into something delicious, something that would spark a memory or an emotion or something from comforting from my past. And that power really spoke to me. And I decided at that point I wanted to learn more. It's this inquisitive kind of notion about what is this cooking thing and how can you harness that to reach people. Some of the chefs that I worked for kind of pushed me to learn more and to do more. And through that, I started to understand that I could reach people. As a young person, I was kind of hardcore punk rock, abrasive kind of personality. And getting close to people wasn't really something that I did. But through food was a way for me to, I learned that I could reach people and kind of tickle the hospitality gene that I had with others but doing it from a distance. And to me, that was like a really empowering thing that unlocked this drive to want to excel in cooking. Understanding that there was a power to being able to reach people and to evoke memories or emotions through food became something that I really wanted to master. While I was in culinary school, kind of pursuing the technical side of cooking and learning how to kind of harness the skills to be creative in food, I did an internship at Aqua in San Francisco under the chef Michael Mina. At that time, Michael Mina was, one of the top chefs in the country, a really hot, young American guy, really cutting his teeth and probably top chef on the West Coast. In his kitchen, as part of my internship, I had to prepare a tasting menu for him and the chefs at the end of my internships to kind of to wrap up my experience there. And it was the first time that I had really ever created a cohesive meal that were all my own ideas. Everything that I had done up to that point had been learning from others or mimicking their styles or learning their techniques. And this was the first time I actually put down in front of a chef or a mentor food that I created. And at the end of that meal, Michael looks at me and he says to me, he talked with the chefs for a few minutes and called me back out to the table. And he says to me, he's like, Jamie, he's like, that meal was really good. I think there's some techniques that you could have done better or improved on. He's like, but the progression of your meals really worked for me. And there were some ideas that I had never even thought of. And at that moment, my mind just like exploded. I was like, holy shit, I created something for this chef that I admire that he had not thought of. And at the end of the conversation, he had asked me if I was interested in staying in San Francisco instead of returning to school to finish my program and train with the team there. and I was mind blown. Um, at that moment, I realized that I was onto something even bigger than just reaching people through food, that this is something that I could excel at and become a master of. So I knew I had to, follow the best chefs I could find, learn from the best. After I graduated school, I made my way to New York City. I mean, the best chefs in the country were there, and I needed to learn from the best. And I found myself working with Andrew Carmelini at Cafe Boulud. I had worked with Andrew before, briefly, while I was still in school, as where I first was introduced to his cooking, and he kind of became a mentor for me. And I found myself following him to Cafe Boulud. He really, just his way of teaching and nurturing talent, like young talent in his kitchen, really spoke to me. So I committed a lot of time and energy to learn from him. Under his tutelage, there was a thing he used to say in the kitchen all the time that really spoke to me and still kind of drives me today. And he used to push me to discover my cooking voice and to figure out what that was. And that was it. And he didn't explain what that meant, and he didn't go any deeper than that, other than just, it was a reoccurring theme where it was like, you something that you have to figure out and discover. And that really spoke to me. And so through that experience, I really started to take a more cerebral approach to my cooking. As like, what is it I'm trying to say? And that helped to further empower my cooking, and added a new layer to my kind of creative process, which is, the thought of what the intent is behind whatever it is I'm cooking. Is there something you're trying to say? Is there something you're trying to reach specifically? What that is, and what is my take on that through food? For the next 10 years, I knocked about Charlotte, cooking in different kitchens with some of the best chefs in town, helping to run their kitchens, learning the business as I went. But that time frame for me was really about discovering that my cooking voice was worthy of being told, and that it was worthy of the investment that to have my own place, to have a platform to express my brand of hospitality and food. And so that's what led me to Church and Union. Through the course of time, that 10 years of working around, I met a lot of people, started a supper club. We did all kinds of things to express the creative side of our cooking and hospitality. My partners, Patrick and Alejandro, caught wind of me at some point and were itching to kind of do their own thing, to push the restaurant industry in Charlotte. And I guess they'd heard about me, and we kind of clicked. And they gave me the opportunity, and they gave me a platform to, no holds barred, carte blanche to really push the envelope and be as creative or as specific with the way I was cooking as I wanted to when we opened. And that really was the springboard for me to kind of come in and really learn how to use that cooking voice. Mentoring my team and working with them on developing their sense of culinary voice and teaching them how that process has been inspiring for me and helped to evolve my technique and my voice. Taking on the role as mentor, I've learned a ton of new approaches to food through working with younger chefs, and being able to apply, my ideas and sensibilities about food and hospitality to those new ideas has helped to keep evolving what we're doing and what I'm doing, which leads me now to, what is the next thing to say? So much of my focus has been about how to evoke memories or feelings in somebody's experience in our restaurant. And now I find myself thinking more about how all those experiences collectively, what power does that have? And what can the culmination of all those experiences, all the people that I touch through food and that my team touches through food, and those experiences, can that have a bigger effect on the community at large? What does that look like? So that's the mission. So if any of this speaks to you and you want to learn more about what I'm up to or follow the journey, you can check me out on chefjamielynch.com. Any of the restaurant websites, churchandunion.com, fishrecruit.com. And you can follow along on social medias, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, Chef Jamie Lynch. And hopefully you'll see a lot more and you'll like what you see.